Okay, so I got the nut. I'm gonna start tightening it up a little bit here. For the final tightening, and it doesn't have to be very tight. For the final tightening, then it's gonna hold down this button right here. And tighten this. Okay. Once you have the wheel tightened, not too much, just a little bit, enough to keep it in there. We close the chamber and tighten this a little bit too, and we're ready to go. For measurements, we have the following equipment: a multimeter and a couple of multimeters here, one to read volts, 1 milliamps, and this is going to read the frequency. To turn this on, put it in ohms, the center. That's going to measure the frequency. And to turn this on, you got to press this green button that says power. And then you're going to switch here between volts and milliamps for reading data. Now to run the system, down here you have a valve. Make sure that the valve is closed, and then turn the pump on. You hear the pump running, and then you start opening the valve, and you're gonna see the pressure here going on. Okay, so I'm going to be opening this valve. It's not too hard. Just start hearing the water running, and then watch out here. I actually put too much pressure in it. You gotta adjust it to about this level, which is 5 psi. It's kind of hard to read in here, but it's 5 psi. Just a little bit higher. We're going to run all the experiments at 5 psi. So very carefully adjust that to run with 5 psi. And then the wheel is going to be running here. And here we're reading the instantaneous frequency. In order to get an average frequency, we had to press this Hertz button. Okay, so the average frequency is 10.22. Students will be collecting that data in a paper. So for example, for this experiment, actually we're reading 10.19 for the frequency. The pressure is always kept at 5 psi. And now we read the volts. This is selected at volts, and the volts is reading 0.31 volts. And then we switch to milliamps, and the milliamps with 1.24. Okay, so this is all the information the students need to put into the computer. So we take this data, and we go into the computer and press the start button. So now we're going to use real data here, 5 psi, press the button. Frequency was 10.19. Volts 0.31. And finally the milliamps was 1.24. And then we scroll down and give me a frequency of 40.13. Then for the next group, what I'm going to do is just click in here and restart again. So having done the experiment here, we're going to shut off the valve by closing the red valve here. Shut off the pump actually and turn the pump off. And then we're ready to start with the next experiment. If this goes off on its own, just turn it off, back to off, and you can turn it back to on. Since I'm not going to be doing any more experiments right here, I'm just going to bring it back to off, and also turn this off, and this is ready to run the next experiment. So that's the experiment basically, and the data input. Once you get the frequency or the efficiency from the computer, then you can proceed to write it down here to compare who gets the best the best efficiency in the wheels. Now, a couple of other things. All the electric power comes from this wall. If you start getting problems, you don't get power in here or in the computer, just wiggle the connection right there. I'm sure that if we don't touch that, it's not going to produce any problem. And that's all we need to know about how to run this particular set of experiments. And that will be all for now then.